In this video, I want to talk about the amazing utility of having weekly update emails when it comes to your overall scheduling and production planning process, and specifically with the Takt production system. This email just came through and I absolutely love it, and I think it's just fantastic. This is an email that goes out to our partners at High Street. They're absolutely an amazing company in Canada. They are the developer for our lean build operations down here in Phoenix, Arizona in the United States. And I just want to showcase how wonderful it is to receive an email like I'm showing you right now. So I'm on Gmail on my jasons@elevateconstructionist.com account. And you can see here it says, "Hello Wembley team, I hope you're doing great." Starts out really positive. And then there's data that you can actually utilize with your project team. Now, where this came from, well, actually I learned this from a lot of different people, but I used to send these emails out for projects that I ran as a superintendent. They weren't anywhere close to this, but that original idea has evolved into this. And then the LeanTakt team has been absolutely great in improving it from there. So let's go through a couple of the things that I really love. All right, so days remaining. I always loved that because you're able to anchor the job site team on not only the days remaining, but on the finish date. So that's kind of like your rally cry. That's your goal. That's your big, hairy, audacious goal. The other thing that I like, and by the way, I think the High Street team, so we've got Kevin, Emilio, Sammy, and a number of other people have helped to develop this, but immediately you see in your phase, how many, oh, that sounds almost like in your face, but in your phase, how many buffer days do you have and how many end buffers? Now, 56 might sound like a lot, but with projects, I would venture a guess that you would, at least with, delays and impacts and things like that, eat into at least 40 of them. So I like having that many buffers. Immediately you see a project's status down here for the overall project, the activities. And one of the things that I love is you can see your buffer. And so you'll see we have buffer burn percentage, you have plus 13%. So if this was in the red, it would signal that in relation to the overall project progress, that we're either ahead or behind on utilizing buffers. So this says we're in the positive by 13%. So we haven't utilized all of the buffers. This is basically the remaining buffer ratio KPI, which the ideal is above 1, but that's a hard KPI to follow. This visual is something that Kevin came up with, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can see days remaining, target end date, remaining buffers, and then how your buffer usage is actually comparing to the amount of activities in the project and the amount of days left. So this is fantastic. The other thing is we have a nice little graph here talking about how the individual phases are progressing. So you've got civil, foundations, suites, interiors, exterior, interiors, and exteriors. This is important from a construction management standpoint because when we're talking about budgets, when we're talking about contingency, when we're talking about submittals, when we're talking about design, it's always a good thing to track our progress. And so here it is all at a glance. This is probably one of my favorites. We flow when we really clear roadblocks out ahead. And so the roadblock removal average is a KPI that we track constantly, but this is another visual, right? So we see how many roadblocks are past due, how many have a due date within 7 days, and how many upcoming roadblocks do we have that we have identified, and now we need to work to clear. And you'll see up here how many cleared last week, total cleared, and then the roadblock removal ratio. And so depending on how you want to do that, removal ratio could represent the amount of days between when you solve the problems and when it impacts work. It could represent how long it takes you to resolve roadblocks. It can be whatever you want, but this client right here has the roadblock removal ratio, and so they immediately have data. And we also have it broken out by human, meaning that the people on the actual project site see exactly what's happening and what they need to be working on from a roadblock standpoint. So the team is constantly focused on what is most important, and that's absolutely fantastic. One of the things that we've done recently is triggering pre-construction meetings. If you really want to do construction well, you'll make sure that the pre-construction meetings are happening. So if there's a scope of work, if there's a wagon and an activity, a task that needs to be prepared 3 weeks ahead of time as a standard practice, we need to schedule those and make sure that the project team is planning for them. So that's a part of the email as well. This is probably my favorite, constraints, right? What is the most limiting factor? Going back to Eliyahu Goldratt's admonition to always know what your bottleneck is, right? We need to know what is your most limiting factor. We also encourage our clients to know what is the slowest trade and hardest zone. Now, this is multifamily, so we don't really have a hardest zone because they're pretty equal and rhythmic, but definitely when you don't have rhythmic work, repetitive work, you will definitely have a hardest zone as well. So we also list the needs, any other important dates, right? So do we have tacticals coming up? Any big milestones, right? These are things that we put in here. Now, this is probably another one of my favorite ones, the procurement. It's a look ahead for procurement. What's coming, what deliveries are heading our way that we need to check on. And I think that that's absolutely fantastic. One of the things that we like to leave with is action items. Usually we have more over here under action items, but we want to take action after these meetings, not just get an update. And then we always say, hey, if we've adjusted anything in the overall production plan, what are the adjustments that happened? And we like to put a picture here and then make sure that we have all of the correct information in there at the bottom and then say, hey, thank you. Here's the end of the email. So, these can be modified in a number of different ways to be helpful for the team. But what would it mean to you if on every project you had this update, clear, accurate information in a beautiful way? I think it would make a lot of difference and trigger us to know what things should we be looking forward to. Roadblock removal, constraint optimization, pre-construction meetings, pull plans, action items. This is keeping us ahead of the 8 ball, keeping us in preparation mode so that we don't go into react mode. Now, if you're asking yourself, how do we create these beautiful emails? These are templates that we have in Canva. If you ever want one of the templates, let us know, but we just paste them into the email and it's pretty cool. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.